So, all right, Eliza, the floor is yours.
Thanks. I'll just turn my camera on real quick and say hi to everyone. So I'm Eliza Gross. I'm the National Map Liaison for Delaware, New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania. I also recently took on that role for Puerto Rico, Tennessee, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. And today I'm going to talk about the USGS 3D National Topography Model and specifically kind of what that looks like in New York right now. So, sorry, trying to advance here. Okay, so first I just want to go into a little background information about the USGS. So we are a bureau within the U.S. Department of Interior, one of many bureaus, other bureaus that we work alongside of that are pretty popular with people, National Park Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife. So we're under the water and science category of bureaus. And the mission of the USGS is to provide reliable scientific information to describe and understand the Earth, minimize loss of life and property, manage water, biological energy, and mineral resources, and then enhance and protect our quality of life. So within USGS, we have 5 different mission areas. Core science systems, that is a lot of our topographic mapping. That's the mission area that I work under right now. Our ecosystems mission area, they do a lot of biological studies, energy and mineral resources. A lot of our mineral mapping goes on in that mission area. Natural hazards, a lot of people are familiar with we have like a volcano warning system, our earthquake warning system. Um, those programs are housed in that mission area. And then water resources, which probably most folks are familiar with. That houses the program that maintains all of our stream gauges across the country, and they do um, water quality, groundwater quality studies too. So Core Science Systems houses the National Geospatial Program. That's the program that I work for. And we provide topographic information to advance science, support government, enlighten citizens, and enable decision making. I've been with the National Geospatial Program for 5 years this month. Came on full time in 2020. Uh, Prior to that, I worked for 12 years with Water Resources. So, Water Resources is responsible for providing reliable, impartial, timely information that is needed to understand the nation's water resources. So, you might see these guys out, or guys or girls out, during floods, collecting data, making sure making repairs and things. So uh, this program also houses our water science centers, and these serve as hubs for critical water science located throughout the country. They're funded by federal, state, and other partners and stakeholders. So, for example, folks might be familiar with the New York Water Science Center that's located in Troy, New York. I think we get a couple of those folks from New York Water Science Center that attend the calls with this group. Um, so they maintain the stream gauges across the state of New York. If you're an example here, if you're interested in looking at, what's going on at Callicoon Creek, you can just get on the website, this National Water Dashboard, and kind of see what the discharge is. And sometimes they have other data associated with the stream gauge. And the folks at the Water Science Center, they maintain these stream gauges, make sure everything's up and running and looking good. So uh, the upper or the Delaware River watershed. The New Jersey also includes part of New Jersey, so the New Jersey Water Science Center. That's located right outside of Trenton, New Jersey. The Pennsylvania Water Science Center, uh, we have, and our primary office is outside of the state capital of Harrisburg, and that's the office that I'm located in. So that's where I'm at right now. So, like I said, I work for the National Geospatial Program, specifically with the User Engagement Office. We have folks located all over the country, um, and there's, I think, about 10 of us now who serve as national map liaisons. Um, so we've had a lot of changes across federal government in the last, 6 months or so. I'm sure you've all heard about it. So this is a group photo from our all hands meeting that we were at last year. The one time a year where we get everyone together from all over the country to get together, meet, and discuss all the different issues that we're working through and support that we provide. Since this photo was taken, I just grayed out the faces here. We lost about half of our team. The deferred resignation program and other folks moved on into other roles. So we are uh, doing what we can to provide support across the country. So specifically what the National Map Liaisons do, like I said, provide support for science support and training, support topographic data collection. We assist with emergency response geospatial needs, and then we foster collaborations and partnerships, and we do all this stuff in support of NGP initiatives. So the biggest NGP initiative that we have going on right now is development of a 3D national topography model, or we also call it the 3D NTM. They describe this as the terrestrial component of the 3D nation vision of a continuous data surface from the depths of the oceans to the peaks of the mountains. When I talk about this concept, I like to try to put it a little more simply. Basically, we're trying to create a digital twin of the Earth's topography. So, for example, you've got the physical entity of New York State. We collect data. For example, NGP is collecting elevation data, use that to build a digital twin, and then the digital twin can be used to plan, inform, make decisions, make changes to that physical entity, and then the data can eventually be collected all over again to document those changes. So the way we're going about this is we're acquiring quality level 2 or better LiDAR elevation data across CONUS. We collect a different kind of data in Alaska called IFSAR, and we're doing this through our 3D elevation program. So just in case you don't know what LiDAR or IFSAR are, so LiDAR stands for light detection and ranging, and it uses light laser beams pulsed from an aircraft to reflect off of objects. And then those reflections are collected by sensors in the aircraft and recorded as millions of individual points. And those points make up what we call a LiDAR point cloud, or you can abbreviate it to LPC. So those detected returns, like I said, are used to create the LiDAR point cloud of elevation values or also Z values. And then the points in the LiDAR point cloud represent the 3D positions of objects on the surface of the Earth. And at USGS, we use that LiDAR point cloud to create a digital elevation model of the bare Earth surface. So what we do is, we require the contractor that collects the data to go in and strip out all the trees and bridges and things so that we can have an end product of a bare Earth digital elevation model to serve as part of that 3D national topography model that I talked about. And then kind of the same deal with IFSAR. IFSAR stands for Interferometric Synthetic Aperture Radar. And this is a type of radar that has lower accuracy and is less detailed than LiDAR. The reason we prioritize this type of data collection in Alaska is because it can penetrate cloud cover and operate from planes that are flying higher and faster. But more recently, we are uh, working more with LiDAR in Alaska just because the acquisition methods have really come a long way. So LiDAR is becoming more feasible to collect data in Alaska. So this just shows the difference between quality level 2 and quality level 1. This is Arlington National Cemetery example. So if you've ever been there, it's right outside of Washington, D.C. This specific area has a couple different acquisitions available. So they've got a 2014 quality level 2 acquisition there in the center that's being compared to a quality level 1 acquisition. So this is just showing the comparison between our 1 meter DEM data products. So it's kind of hard to see, but the quality level 1 data are a little more accurate there than the quality level 2 data. So looking at the chart below, you've got a lower nominal pulse spacing for quality level 1 data, and then higher points per square meter. So as far as the data that can be contributed to our 3D elevation program, the LiDAR data must be quality level 2 or better quality to meet the LiDAR base specification and be contributed to the 3DEP. And then, sorry, I didn't update this, but all the quality level 2 3DEP baseline data in New York State are available. New York State on this map is nice and green. All the data are available or in progress. But the reality of that is a little more complicated. What makes up that green there? And there are 20 different LiDAR acquisition projects in New York State contributing to that 3DEP baseline. So the data were collected between 2013 and 2024. So it took 11 years and 40 or 20 different LiDAR acquisition projects to develop this baseline data set. So the very first acquisition, this was the New York City acquisition. I think, back in 2013 as part of the Hurricane Sandy data acquisitions. And then the latest one contributing to the baseline data is a 2024 acquisition to fill in a data gap here. There were previously data collected in this area, I think back in 2014 or 15, but they did not meet the LiDAR base specifications, so it couldn't be contributed to the 3DEP program. So USGS funded this final acquisition to wrap up baseline data in New York. So this is just an example of that final baseline LiDAR data in New York State. And then we're also working on the next generation of the 3D elevation program in New York State. So any of the projects collected in addition to the baseline data are considered to be contributing to the next generation of the 3D elevation program, or we're calling it the next gen 3DEP. So these projects can represent an additional quality level 2 acquisition. So all the purple on this map indicates an additional LiDAR acquisition for that area. And then the dark purple means that there are 3 acquisitions available. So you can see along some of these project boundaries, um, there was some overlapping area where there's potentially 3 different sets of data available. And then also the project can represent or to be considered part of NextGen 3DEP. This can include an improved quality level 1 acquisition. So most recently, okay, sorry. Um, as far as an additional quality level 2 acquisition, that last map that I showed did not include the data for this new LiDAR acquisition that we have. So this is the New York City watershed quality level 2 LiDAR project. That's the boundary for it. So we do not have the data available for this yet, but the data were acquired in spring of this year. So the data are in review and going through our whole review process and should be available in about a year or so. And then as far as an improved quality level 1 acquisition, we have this project shown in yellow, the New York 4 County project. This is a quality level 1 acquisition, and they haven't started collecting the data for this project yet, but they're planning on starting this coming fall. So this will be the first quality level 1 acquisition that I know of for New York State. So now that the topographic LiDAR piece is really complete for the 3D national topography model, um, what else are we interested in? So I'm going to zoom into this circled area, Callicoon, New York. So this is our bare earth DEM that the USGS produces. Um, I know the rendezvous is being held in this town. So this is showing the Delaware River right outside of Callicoon. The Bare Earth DEM, you could see there are bridges missing. They get taken out of that Bare Earth DEM data set. But more interestingly, the river just looks like flat glass. So we all know that the bottom of the Delaware River does not look like that. So something else that USGS is interested in for modeling purposes is, the submerged topography. So the wavelengths of 1064, 1550 nanometers, which include the near or intermediate infrared spectrums, that's what's typically used for topographic LiDAR data acquisition. Those wavelengths do not penetrate the surface of the water to map the submerged topography. So this is an example on the Potomac River near Harper's Ferry where the Shenandoah meets the Potomac. And this is a topographic LiDAR example. So you've got the LiDAR point cloud and the bare earth that USGS produces. And just like that last map of Callicoon, New York that I showed, the surface of the river looks like a sheet of glass. It's just all one. It's hydro flattened is what we call it. So the wavelength of 532 nanometers, or the green spectrum that's used for bathymetric LiDAR, penetrates the water typically 1.5 to 3 times the visible water depth. So we call that Secchi depth, and that will reach the submerged topography. So here's an example then of that same area on the Potomac River showing topobathymetric LiDAR. So we've got the LiDAR point cloud and then the topobathymetric digital elevation model, and you can really see what that submerged topography looks like on those rivers. So Then we can integrate these different data products to create a continuous data surface. So we can take the topographic LiDAR, which is, available right now all across New York State, and then take the topobathymetric LiDAR, which we have not acquired any topobathymetric LiDAR yet in New York State. USGS hasn't. I heard NOAA might have some projects going on the Susquehanna River, so that should be coming down the pike soon. And then we integrate those two data products with multi-beam sonar and other bathymetric data to fill in the data voids. Like I said, the topobathymetric LiDAR data aren't perfect. If you hit whitewater, really deep pools, the the beam will have trouble penetrating the whitewater or penetrating down through a deep pool to get to that submerged topography. So sometimes we'll have crews go out with multi-beam sonar and other methods and be able to fill in those data voids. And then we end up with a continuous data surface of the Earth's topography. And then, you can pull it in a mapping software and get these cool profiles that are accurate for the submerged topography and then the landscape surrounding it. So one last piece of this puzzle then is hydrographic features that are too small for topobathymetric LiDAR data acquisition. So what we're finding is that the line work that we have available no longer aligns with our high accuracy topographic elevation data. So this is an example here. Loesch Run is just north of Duncannon, Pennsylvania, and it drains into the Juniata River. So this is just a zoom in of the stream overlaid, the stream data that we have available overlaid on that high accuracy bare earth DEM. And you can really see the stream does not align with the channel that's apparent in the DEM. And if you're doing any kind of modeling or, trying to model a flood or something, it's not going to work out real well. So what we're doing is we are phasing out our national hydrography data set. That was the streamlined data that I just showed. So the national hydrography data set is the most comprehensive hydrography data set available for the country right now. And the line work was originally hand drawn, and then it was digitized from topographic paper maps. And then the NHD plus high resolution was further improved upon using 10-meter DEMs. So this image, you can see it's comparing the 10-meter DEM to the 1-meter DEMs that we have available now. So if the NHD plus high resolution was built, improved upon using that 10-meter DEM, it's, not a surprise that the line work is still going to be uh, kind of off compared to like what you would get with the 1-meter DEM. So this is why we're phasing in elevation derived hydrography. So USGS has developed the 3D hydrography program, and this is really a complement to our 3D elevation program. And the focus of the program is to create accurate hydrography data that align with the new elevation data that we're collecting as part of the 3D elevation program. Okay, so back to the example that I showed of Loesch Run. So the top image shows the NHD plus high resolution data that I showed before, and then the bottom image shows the 3D HP data that have been developed in this region. So the highlighted stream, which is the light blue, that's the NHD plus high resolution. versus that dark blue stream, which is the 3D HP data. You can see the dark blue stream aligns with that DEM in the background, and really this is what we're going for through our 3D hydrography program. So the data developed through this program are going to be more accurate. They're going to better represent the real world and what's going on the ground. They're going to have XYZ values, which the NHD plus high resolution does not. And the Z values are going to be monotonic, which means that they only flow downhill. Previously, if you pulled the NHD plus high resolution data into a DEM and tried to extract Z values, um, they the Z values would be all over the place. The water would flow uphill just because the data weren't aligned with the 1 meter DEM. And then this image here is just showing a comparison between NHD plus high resolution in pink, and the blue is the 3D HP data. So we're moving forward with acquiring 3D HP data, and we're doing this by hydrologic unit. If some of the maps that I showed of the elevation data that we acquired, or the elevation projects, they're typically acquired by county. Um, with the 3D hydrography program, since water doesn't really respect political boundaries, we are acquiring this data by 8-digit hydrologic unit and 10-digit hydrologic unit, and then we'll go down to a 12-digit hydrologic unit if necessary. But we prefer to collect it at the 8 or 10-digit level. So hydrologic units are basically watersheds. And this map kind of gives a breakdown of the hydrologic units. So the smaller the number, the larger the watershed. And then as you get down into, an 8-digit hydrologic unit, you're looking at a sub-basin, really. So this is the status of our 3D hydrography program data so far. And we can look at what's going on in New York here. So the pink represents in progress projects, and the green represents completed projects. So in New York, we have the Upper Genesee is in progress right now. And then there's a project in Pennsylvania that extends into New York a little bit. And then that's the Lake Erie project. And then in Massachusetts, this does not extend into New York, but it's right on the border there. And then we've got some completed data down in Pennsylvania being shown on the map. So the integration of these geospatial data products that I've discussed, the topographic elevation, topobathymetric elevation, elevation-derived hydrography, the intent of all this is really to provide the nation with a 3D national topography model, or a digital twin of the nation's topography. And this will really serve mission critical applications that will help everyone. So we've done studies, our 3D Nation elevation requirements and benefits study completed in 2022, and then our national hydrography requirements and benefits study in 2016, just to make sure, that going down this road, we were going to end up with something useful for our state partners, our federal partners. We identified that, some of the use cases here: flood modeling, river and stream flow management, aquatic habitat monitoring, spill response. is going to be a really helpful data set. So as far as accessing the data, I'll just talk about uh, some of these websites briefly. We do have the National Map Downloader, and you can uh, define your area of interest and download our different elevation products, in addition to other products that we have available, boundaries and um, imagery from NEAP. And then you can also download the topographic and topobathy LiDAR from LiDAR Explorer. And of course, we partner with New York State a lot, and all of the data that we collect, the elevation data, are available through the New York State GIS Clearinghouse website. As far as the 3D hydrography program, so the data that are resulting from this program, it's really in its infancy. So we don't have a lot of the data available right now. We do have a web service that we host on our website, and the intent is to publish the data through the web feature service. So accessing the web feature service, right now there are only 3D hydrography program data available for CONUS in a 1HUC8 or 8-digit hydrologic unit in Pennsylvania, this upper Juniata one that I have shown on the map, and then for a 10-digit hydrologic unit in Tennessee, the Holston River, and that's highlighted here on this map. So the Holston River data do include flow network derivative attribution, and eventually the upper Juniata data will be updated with that attribution. And then if you access the web feature service, any of the other data that are shown through the web feature service, aside from these two hydrologic units, it's just going to show the NHD plus high resolution data to fill in that data gap. And if you're looking at the data, you can really tell, the 3DHP data will be much denser. The features will match up with any elevation data you have pulled up in the background, whereas NHD plus high resolution, which is in this top corner here, the features aren't as dense and won't really match up quite as well with any kind of DEM you have pulled up in the background. And then as far as using our data, accessing the data, we do have a training YouTube playlist. And then we've got all kinds of short videos on downloading the data, accessing the LiDAR point cloud, pulling it in ArcGIS Pro. So that's something to explore if you're interested in using the data. And then, of course, if you have any questions about anything, you can reach out to me. And that's what I'm here for, is to, answer any questions. If there's any interest in partnering to acquire data, I will be the person to talk to, help with any kind of agreements and things, and kind of help everyone through the project process. So that's it from me. Let me know if anyone has any questions. Thanks.